It's time to dad.
Hey guys, welcome back to Time to Dad. Thanks for joining us. The setup looks a little different if you've been watching the past videos. Microsoft Teams decided to bullshit their way into a new version, and none of the back end support that we use for recording and audio and shit is supported the same way anymore. So last minute, trying to get kinks out of that, still didn't fucking work. So now we're using a online meeting platform that's compatible with OBS, which is what we record through, and it's been a shit show. So there were three of us on this episode. Alex was having weird technical glitches, so he dropped off. So we're just gonna roll with two. So it'll be an interesting episode tonight. But yeah, I don't know. What do we want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, things happen. I mentioned it in a cloud space recording of this that we, over and over tried to record, but it didn't take just like an army or a team. It took teams to take down this show, and we are fighting on, and we're going to battle, and we're going to keep it going. We're going to fight through the technical shit and find a way to bring a great show to the people that listen to this show. And being a dad it's like actually something that everybody goes through. And I think on some level, everything we record, however many people listen to it, is important because it's real fucking shit. And real fucking shit is we don't edit the show in terms of swearing, A. B, we started recording the show on Teams and Teams got fucking greedy, B. And C, we keep fucking soldiering on because sometimes in life you get to a point where it's like, what's more important? Like people saying you don't want to do something, people saying you can't do it, people saying you can't do it, none of that. It's like you just fucking keep doing it, you soldier through it, and you do it one way or another, and you get a fucking show going, and that's what we do here. Being a dad is fucking hard, and I'm training my kid to go to the bathroom, and that's fucking hard. And
That was a weird transition.
Where do you begin? And my wife is a fucking soldier. Like I can't really and we've been going through things as a family, so she's here most of the time. And she has set up a system where she trains him to go to the bathroom. And I think it's good, but we put ourselves up against a weird fence. But it's like she starts training him when she's home, and it's like 100% attention, 3-day summit to get him to go to the bathroom. And we go day one. And I work, so I never have 3 straight days. So one of these days I'm involved, I swear, but it's basically Friday. She goes hardcore with him. She puts him cold turkey in the big boy underwear. And then it's like, let's get through the day without having, it's like, it's positive affirmations. And it's like, hey, if you need to go to the bathroom, you tell mommy you got to go to the bathroom. It's nothing negative, and then you just go cold turkey for 3 straight days. But the only issue with any of it, because I did day 3 with her, and there was really it works. But day 3, I'm getting into it hardcore, but also thinking it's my one day off. I wanted to play golf. I didn't I'm not gonna ask, but we're she's like, nah, you're not playing golf. It's day 3 of the potty summit. It's day 3 of the potty summit, and day 4 of the potty summit, and then is she's gonna go back to work for the first time in 5 months. So day 4 of the potty summit didn't go well. But I do think the system that we can get into is there's some merit. But I want to hear how you trained your kid and your comments on that ridiculousness. But it's like there's a method to that, I think.
Dude, so we tried everything, like all the shit people tell you to do. Like I think a coworker told me to put you put like Cheerios or Fruit Loops, something for, this is for boys, mind you, but you put something to float in the toilet so it's fun, right? There's target practice when they do go pee. But that only works if you're already have like gotten them to the point where they're telling you, hey, I got to go potty, right?
Right. And they're sitting, man. You got to get them sitting straight up, like just to get them pee sitting, honestly.
And so honestly, I don't recall the exact steps we took. But one day I feel like we just woke up and he was just potty trained. And the big things we did were, he had two older nephews. Well, a nephew that was 6 months older than him, and then the other one's a few years older. But they were all at my mom's house a lot together. So he did have two boys that were further ahead of him in potty training. One was fully potty trained, obviously, to kind of see as role models. So that helped. The second thing was regularly just having him sit on the potty and finding something fun for him to do while he's on the potty. The third biggest thing is positive reinforcement. When he would actually sit on the potty and go, like, you have to make a Broadway friggin' production out of it. Like, we did song and dance. He got special treats, shit like that. And that's really all I can recall us doing. We didn't do any like kind of 4-day regimen like you suggested. It was just a constant thing. Like, okay, tell mommy and daddy when you have to go potty, and if we didn't hear it in a short enough time span, we would just take him in there and say, okay, we're gonna spend 5 minutes on the potty, and then next thing you know, he's friggin' potty trained, right? He's peeing and pooping sitting down, and that's when you transition to the Cheerios. But I think the biggest thing was just getting stupid excited that first time, and every time after that he started using the potty, and that like got him excited about doing it. And now, finally, just today, he wiped his own ass. We've been trying to work on that because we'll be downstairs watching the TV where there's a bathroom right fucking there, and he'll go all the way upstairs and take a shit, and then the return grill for the air vent is right upstairs. And if he yells through that, we can actually hear him through the bottom one. And so he'll go up there, you know what he's doing, and 2 minutes later, you'll hear him yell through the vent, and he'll be like, Daddy, I need help wiping. And you're like, why the fuck did you go all the way upstairs to take a shit when there's a perfectly good toilet right here? But today, I jokingly told him I'm not going to come help him wipe his butt, and he did it on his own. He wiped his own butt, and I came up there because I was like, dude, you've been up here 10 minutes. I know you pooped. Did you wipe? And he's like, yeah, I wiped myself. And so like I checked to make sure he's not running around like putting skid marks on everything. And he wiped his own butt today, which was a pretty awesome second milestone. And once they start using the potty, but I don't think there's any magic sequence to getting your kid potty trained. I think obviously every kid is different, right? I think the phrase I read once was, if your kid is behind others, their kids are like popcorn kernels and it's just not their time to pop yet kind of thing. Which I think is always true when it comes to kids. Each kid learns at a different rate. They develop differently. I don't know, but persistency is the only advice I can offer to a dad. And maybe the cool toilet that Joe brought up in a previous episode that, what the hell was it? It was a urinal for kids that attached to the wall, right?
Yeah, with the spinny thing?
Yeah, we need to link that in this episode bio.
No, we got to link. We got to link the clip from Big Daddy where he's like, I wipe my own ass. I want to hear that.
I will say one more thing that was helpful because kids may tell you they have to potty, but you still may not make it in time if they're running around in undies. So I think we had two of the little Porta Kid potty. Yep. Have you seen those? Got a little lid and a seat. We had like two of those in our house and two of them in our mom's house. I think I
have that. I got one of those around. Yeah.
And so he always knew where it was. So even if he couldn't get to us to tell
a good
us.
point. I don't know if she's got to be utilizing that, but
I'm sure. Yeah, a lot of
she's
people.
been pretty cold turkey with him, but that day 4.
Mhm.
The
other thing that matters
did not go well. That's it. That's all I can say.
It depends how like hard you're being on yourselves and being on your kid, and I don't mean hard like you're
Well, it's also
yelling at your damn kid, but
what's
it's like
day to day. Is there daycare? Because I mean, not everybody has the luxury of every day of it being daycare.
Somebody at home, yeah,
right.
So I mean, we were fortunate enough. He was in daycare at the time, but it was like a half day daycare. So he's at daycare a part of the day, and then he was with my mom the other part. My mom's just been a saint with any kind of training or any kind of behavioral shit that we need to work on. She's just like always like right on the same page with us or ahead of us sometimes. And she'll be like, hey, this is what I'm doing and it's been working. And we're like, sweet. But I will say if you're using we have a like foldable seat that sits on top of the toilet seat and it's meant so your little kid doesn't fall in. He is very
solid. Yeah, that's a good tool.
But he's super particular about like originally we had one that was solid plastic. It didn't fold. It had it was a Paw Patrol one with cushions and handles. And the second we transitioned to the like quick collapsible fold out one, he loved that thing, but he hated the Paw Patrol one. And I don't know if it's just the way it felt when he was sitting on I don't know what the fuck it was.
It's too much it's like you're connecting the adult world and the kid world. Like, I don't want to like sit on a throne of Paw Patrol. It's like, I'm an adult. I'm gonna get gritty in the bathroom and be a big boy. So if he's still that, I have no fucking clue. But that's like my interpretation of it. Like they do, and I think most people do see discernment, a difference between being a child and being an adult, and what like lines cross with. And I personally have a hard time because I like kid. Like, I never grow up in a way. It's like, what's adult and what's kid, and when it like. But I think getting older, establishing going to the bathroom like an adult, maybe they don't want to be Paw Patrol anymore. Like it's an adult thing. Who knows?
I've peed with him. I'll still pee with him to this day. If we both got to go and we're like out somewhere and there's only one fucking stall, I know there's some parents that are like, oh, like, why would you do that? And I'm like, what the hell? Like,
no, man, that's an adult. So it's almost like you establish being an adult in a weird way with like bodily functions for survival. So it's like you draw the line between being a kid and being an adult at, I have to do this, or like I have to react to how my body feels.
Yeah.
Or I have to be like, my body's good, I'm gonna, go to Never Land and get into like the mental world. So I think it's very adult to like understand some of the anatomy. Like, it's like, and then you learn about sex later in life. And I mean, I know it's a dad podcast, we're not going to go talk about sex, but it's like you get to that. We're going to get to that. So when our kids
Wikipedia
get old,
that term.
when our kids get older and they have to do sex ed, like, I don't know, there's something like primal or like distance from Paw Patrol. Like, no, it's like, this is real shit. I gotta fucking go to the bathroom. Like, fuck off, Paw Patrol.
Well, it was like when we were redoing the upstairs bathroom, and the upstairs bathroom has a tub where he takes his baths, and the downstairs bathroom just has a shower. And so when I was working on the upstairs bathroom, I think it took me 2-3 weeks to finish that shit. But he had to get clean, right? And so I had to take him in the shower with me. And the first one, he absolutely fucking hated it because he doesn't like the water all in his eyes and his face. And he hated the first one. But I was like, buddy, like, it's the same thing. It's just not playtime in a shower. We don't bring all of our toys in here because we're going to fucking step on them like the goddamn Legos on the floor that you can't see. But
In the
but
shower
now,
with toys. Yeah.
yeah,
That
now if I tell him, like, I'm like, buddy, we don't have time for a bath, we can take a shower, and I'll take him in there and help him get clean and shit, and he fucking loves it. But there's little
Yeah.
things like that, yeah, that where you kind of have to show them, and they
Yeah.
are more adult things, right? But it helps
Yeah,
them
yeah, yeah.
see that they need to be
Progression. That's
constantly
life. That's
progressing.
life.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. So I got a book. I honestly would rather have brought that. So big part, just full disclosure, big part of being a dad is seeing a connection between like when I was something that happened when I was a kid that sparked something that I actually remembered. Because they say you don't remember anything.
You remember a lot.
Like, but it's like sparks. It's like little things, like highlights type things. But so there's a book, and I started getting into it with Russell. And when I read it to him when he was young, he didn't react to it very much. But it's a book where there's literally no words. So the first page is there's words, and then every page from that point on, there's nothing. And then the last page, there's words. And it's very good art, but you build the story from your brain.
Oh.
And it's a weird thing, but like my parents would read me this book, and I remembered it as a kid as my favorite book that they read.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I got tapped into their real imagination, their real life.
That's
and
sweet.
then at the end, so I started reading it to Russell, and he didn't react when he was very young. Now he kind of likes the book, but only if I, and at the same point, it's like, all right, do you want to read this book? But he sees the value of it. But when he's young, he just wants the pictures or whatever. And then eventually they learn stories and they take off.
That's the only downfall I see of that book. So our son, when you're getting your kid to bed, sometimes you're running late, you get home late from a function or some shit, and you start reading the book and you're like, I do not have 10 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm beat. So you start skipping sentences and shit. And my son will call you fucking out. I mean, you could skip 3 or 4 words and he will call you out on missing shit. And that's the only backfire I see of that book is
well, but there's no words. I'm always going to hit the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
I mean, how old is your kid?
He's 5.5 now. He'll be 6.
5.5. Yeah. So he's officially like and again, he's officially a smart ass. I mean, he's like he's like 5-6 years old. Right.
Jesus.
So like my kids, I mean, and I was a fucking smart ass at 5-6 years old, and it is tricky. It's tricky, man. But
dude, it's no longer like I ask him to do something and I ask him again, and he's like, he says it politely, whatever he said the first time that I could barely fucking hear. Now it's like, I said, or I already told you. Like the attitude is in full effect, man.
The attitude is they absorb everything in life, man. It's like every good, bad, indifferent that we show them, they absorb it. It's crazy.
So he has been like, maybe this is a good transition point, but I asked you guys about like camping tents, if any of you guys camped, because what
did I say? I Googled that shit. I said crazy.
That was a weird ass tent I've never fucking heard of. I was like, I'm not buying that. We're going to die. Yeah, I did.
Look it up, dude. That's an awesome fucking tent. That's a good tent.
If I knew the brand. But
it was the number one ranked. It was like they studied tents, and that was number one.
Yeah. Well, no, but like we don't go crazy with electronics, but there's some weeks where he just plays Nintendo Switch. If he asks for it, he can play it. It's fine. But we've been trying to like detox him and get him off that. Because at the beach, when we were at the beach, it was easy for all the adults to just kind of let him go down to the next level down and play it, because it meant we got to actually vacation and relax as the adults. And I realized like that's not what we want to do. And then we get home and we're trying to get him to turn it off to start winding down for bed, and he loses his shit. So it just so happened last weekend he went out to Cub Scout camp where his 2 nephews were, and he got to tour the Cub Scout campground. And I mean, you guys know I go out fishing with him almost every weekend in the spring and summer. And so anything we can do to get him outdoors. And Jen recently was like, yeah, I really want to get back into camping. And so I was like, fuck it, we'll buy a tent. and we'll go camping out in the middle of nowhere and make that our regular thing as much as we can, and not take fucking electronics. And it's not like he can, say, oh, well, there's a plug here to charge it, so we can use that as kind of our scapegoat. But that's kind of our goal, is to just use camping as a detox.
Right.
Since we were talking about growing up, man, we've got younger interns at work, and I mean, they're just glued to their phone, and I'm guilty of it too. I mean, when I get home, I'll just start doom scrolling on Facebook, fucking reels and shit. My wife will do the same thing, and it's just not healthy. I think a lot of our stupid fights come from that, because she'll be talking to me and I'm just in fucking la la land scrolling. And then I'll tell her something and she'll be in the middle of fucking scrolling and not here. It just becomes a fucking shit show. So I'm hoping we can use that to kind of detox and get away from technology as much as humanly possible.
Yep. No, that's a big one. I mean, I think any battle you're fighting with yourself right now is involved. It, like, if you're at like if human nature is always at a battle with like life itself, I think we are at a point where the phone, like, robot thing versus ourselves is more important than ourselves versus our spouses, which I think ourselves versus other people, personal relationships, has been the most important thing for hundreds of years, because we progressed past ourselves versus life itself, because we got to like survive. So now it's like we figured out how to survive. So then we spend like a couple hundred years battling ourselves versus our spouse versus our parents versus that. And now we're getting into ourselves versus technology. And if we're on our phone all the time, if we are engaging with the technology that allows us to do a job that makes money exponentially, like, we're fighting the robot more. We're fighting the robot while still fighting other people. And it's a weird part of life. And it's a weird
I think if I could just get rid of the social media part, I'd be a lot better off. Like, I really don't use it a whole lot for work stuff when I'm not at work. Unless I'm really expecting some important email, I'm not looking at it for emails or Teams messages after hours. Nope, you're leaving me. But I don't know. I just I think it's the social media thing that consumes everyone's time, and it's because when you log into Facebook and you're scrolling through reels, it, like, I don't know, you see these other people's lives and the crazy shit they do, and you just want to keep watching. Or you see something that's happening in a third world country that you're never gonna, God willing, you're never gonna witness in like the United States of America. And you just get drawn into shit like that, and you get drawn into the political bullshit. You get drawn into, everything going on with the police and sovereign citizens and all that. And I think it is like mind crushing everyone.
Yeah. No, and it's like, what is so that's the weird thing. So it's like the robot of the computer got smart enough to create something that pits ourselves against the previous established.
We talked about that before, right? We talked about those lawsuits against Facebook before it was Meta, but how they were noticing young ladies were searching stuff on bulimia and like how to get skinny and diets. So what was Facebook doing? It was injecting their feed with all these videos of skinny chicks and all these like get slim fast diets and some of it was videos of girls that were bulimic, like sharing their stories, but girls couldn't look past it, right? They were more interested in the results that person gained, even though they're now telling their sob story of how awful it was. I don't mean sob story, but they're telling their story of how awful it was for them. And Facebook had many, 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 many fucking lawsuits about tailoring the shit that is coming on your feed based on the content you're looking for. If it noticed you were constantly looking for supplements to help with depression and shit like that. What's your feed going to be? It's just going to be all these posts about depression. And same thing with fucking suicide. People considering suicide. They're Googling, how do I get help? Who do I talk to? And their whole feed is just filled with fucking suicide shit. And there were crazy lawsuits. And that's how scary the fucking internet can be. And I know we've talked a lot about technology and kids before. But that's why I tell, I always, like, Emerson gets on YouTube and looks at shit, but he doesn't have his own account. He doesn't have a Facebook account. He doesn't have any of that. He's way too young. And we're going to keep him from doing that as long as possible, because the second you start signing up for all these accounts, that's when all your fucking accounts start talking and sharing the information that you're looking at from account to account. And that's when you start getting these like tailored lists of shit. And you kind of enter this weird manipulation stage if you're not able to kind of realize it and make adjustments.
Yep. I don't know how much control a kid, or how much of a chance a kid really has when adults are put in a position where they're fighting against something they can't control in social media or manipulation of like a mental, like we're not equipped or smart enough. Why are we expecting our kids to be like regimented enough, disciplined enough to ignore something that literally provides a drug to our brain in dopamine or whatever? Like you have to raise some sort of a soldier or a very distracted, successful, hard worker. And they're still soldiers. All right. I mean, I really wish we had, Alex or whoever, like people who served like on the show. Cause it's like, you create a soldier, you create somebody whose mind is focused on a goal because you're brainwashed. But it's like, if you can create a kid or whatever that's focused on a goal and just
it's a totally different kind of brainwashing, though.
Yeah, but you're still like you're right. It's a good brainwash and a bad brainwash. But I'm saying, like,
I would call the military more of a programming, because some of it is obviously to help you overcome fears. Obviously we can't have our men and women in uniform freezing in the line of duty or battle. And so they're going to train you to deal with that. So I think it's more of a programming, and that kind of training has benefits, right? And that primary benefit is to help protect us, but also to keep your ass alive. As where the internet gives no fucks about what they feed you. If it's getting them clicks through weird clickbait videos, if it's linking you to products that people are falsely making claims about just so you buy it, that's all they give a shit. They do not care about fucking Jason Crosby or Nick Bohm. They don't care about what we look at. If we're clicking more shit on the internet, they're fat and happy. And that's why it's so dangerous.
But it's like we've softened and hardened. So now, what else builds character in a person? And I mean, granted, I have two boys, you have a boy, like whatever. There's different things that build character in different types of people. And I don't relate to raising girls because I don't have a girl, and I'll be straight up about that. But it's like, like playing fucking football, wrestling and those are things that are on the outskirts of accepted philosophy or character building. But guess what? When you're on a team and your goal is hit the person on the other side of you harder than they hit you and it hurts less, like that builds character and gives you like a real an energy. But there's an energy thing. Like, I don't know, man. Like I played football when I was a kid and I wasn't very good at it. All right.
Yeah.
Straight up. I played football. I sucked ass. But I got older and I played golf when I should have played football in high school. So I like gave up on that because I sucked at it. But, as I got older, and it's like, if I want to be in shape, I got to do certain actions of like a pull up or a push up or like lifting a weight.
Yeah.
So
you
it's
learn
like
that through sports.
But you get like there's a chemical reaction of when you do those things that I learned later in life. But it's like, yeah,
well, that's the nature of fucking man.
Energy. If you use energy and you put more towards it than whatever force is coming at you, there's a life lesson. Like,
well, if Jason goes to bed sore as fuck, exhausted, but wakes up tomorrow morning, like, holy shit, I'm starting to feel like a new man. Like I have purpose today. Then it's all worth it. And to this day, I always talk about my wrestling coach, right? Because I think for me, when I really started transitioning from like a kid, teenager to really trying to mold myself into a respectable man, human being, whatever, however you want to put it, was when I started wrestling in high school. And you can be definitely the worst fucking player on the team, but if you have a good coach and you have good teammates that are listening to that coach, you're never going to feel like the worst fucking, even if you ride the fucking bench through high school. If you're on the right team with the right coaches and the right players, you'll never feel internally. You may say, okay, I know I fucking suck. These guys are really good. That's on you. But you should never, if you're on the right team with the right coaching, you should never hear that from another teammate. And I think that's the beauty about sports. And if you're raised right in playing sports, you are always going to support not only the best, the cream of the crop, but you're also going to support your weakest link, who is whoever may be the player that's struggling, right? And that's part of being a fucking man. Supporting another guy, another family friend, whoever the fuck it is that needs help. But developing as a man, sports teach you a lot of mental toughness that you're not. If you never play sports, I would be almost willing to bet my life that you will not have the mental toughness of someone who has played a sport, someone who has had a game, a team, a coach, a career, a season, your whole high school life riding on a game and lost it.
And pressure turns a fucking lump of coal into a goddamn diamond.
And you just don't.
It's true.
How else are you going to develop that? I could see maybe if your kid's a super brainiac and they're super smart and they're doing, science competitions and things like that, but you're still learning that things are on the line. You're still, you fuck up your project 2 hours before, you need to submit it for a competition. You learn mental toughness there. So I could see that side too. But you could, with all the shit in the world, man, I can't, like, even as I say this, like myself with fucking anxiety issues that I'm still trying to crank in. And some of that's just self-induced and some of it's coffee and nicotine and shit. But in this day and age, like you have to have mental toughness. I just see way too many people that at the first sign of a tough obstacle, just like fucking Frogger, man, just stop and get run over by the cars because they don't know how to deal with it. And sports is the only fucking way I know to guarantee your kid will have some sort of mental coping ability with tough situations. And humility.
You're 100%. I'm going to tell you the real story. So I have like competing forces, really, but it's like I understood it. I didn't understand it till later with football. I didn't play football. I played football Pop Warner, and then I went to high school and I had two sports that were competing for the same season, and I battle internally with, I'm going to fucking, if you tell me I can't do it, I'm just going to go right fucking through you, like a football mentality, but like a fucking finesse physique. Let's be real. So like I chose to play golf instead of fucking football, but golf is a game of finesse. Golf is a game of thinking through the game.
Mental approach, I would say.
100%. So I and I don't play chess. I should. my son, I think I sent you guys videos. Like, he's 2. He likes chess more than I ever did. But I mean, some people will play chess versus checkers or whatever, and I probably should have done puzzles, been a more finesse person. But I had like the football mentality, and then I found
I'm too
golf.
macho for chess.
But I found golf and like bowling and sports like that, which were more mental, to be more. They're sustainable. They're sports that you can maintain because they're in your head. Whereas football and wrestling are great, but they will literally kill you. You will literally die like sooner if you engage in football or wrestling.
Well, I don't know about that.
Into
it will definitely tear your fucking body down, man, because I'm feeling the effects of wrestling. And I only wrestled middle school through part of college. And
imagine if you kept going and you were like an Olympian.
If I wrestled all the way through college, yeah, dude.
And you were just giving it all, dude, like at that level, which is fine.
I wouldn't trade it, man. That's my only caveat.
That's not the thing. No.
It's shit, I was gonna say something a second ago. I'll think of it in a minute. But I can't express how important enough it is to go through a sport or something that is almost fucking guaranteed to cause your child like a big disappointment, of failure,
anguish,
a struggle,
anguish, right? Like
anxiety, like the emotion of just knowing there is a task in fucking front of you, and it's just A, humanly not possible, or B, there's physically not enough time. Because when you get to that adult age, and I think that's the problem with a lot of younger kids coming into the workforce now, if you don't have that skill, if you don't have that past experience to draw from, if you can't say, fuck, I just lost my job. This is kind of like that time I didn't make states my senior year for me. Or, that time I almost placed top 3 in regional, but I fucking got my ass whooped because I wasn't prepared. If you don't have a past experience to draw upon, by the time you get to that as an adult, you're fucking helpless. You will crumble every time. And you may end up settling for another shitty job versus, some people from our generation that a lot of them they took a hit like that in COVID, right? And they said, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to use my own energy, willpower, and that kind of thing. And it is so, just to have, I just don't like these parents that put their kids in a bubble where everything is always, always, always going to go their way. And everything is sunshine and rainbows, because especially America today versus when we grew up, we know that's not the case, right? It is tough. The economy and all that, it's a struggle for people. And if you're just not prepared, I don't know how you would deal with that. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't want to date the episode, but it's like, people you would think are on your side, they're going to try to shoot you down. That's going to happen in life. So, being a dad is not easy. Being a dad's fucking hard as fuck. And being a dad means sometimes when you record a show that one of the dads that did the show, literally, I'm like patting my kid's ass, like right up to the point where we want to start recording. One of the dads is fucking, he's got like he left the show completely. And being a dad is fucking shit. And sometimes when we record a goddamn show, it's a gift. It's a gift. And now we all like it. You said it. You like, I'm not going to trade being beat the fuck up, wrestling like a maniac for anything. You don't trade anything for being a dad, anything for the pain that they inflict upon you.
But you have to say why. And the why for me is I could have the most hellacious year of my life, 6 months, 8 months, 2 months, a week, whatever the fucking time span is. But we go on vacation, right? And I'm sitting there digging a fucking hole with my kid. And the whole time, I mean, I've been killing myself at work. I just want to relax. And the kid runs over and my nephews run over and they want to dig a giant fucking hole. And you know what? I said, fuck yeah, let's go dig
You
a
want to
giant
dig a fucking hole. Yeah,
and you
dude.
dig that giant fucking hole and you finally sit down and you look around at those kids' faces, dude, and they are nothing can touch them, man. And it's those little wins, it's those little sparks of you see them so excited about something, and it's like you said, you don't remember everything about your childhood, but that little spark will spark something in your mind where you remember. Like for me, I remember my dad holding my hand in the breaking waves while I'm fucking got goggles on and he's just getting crushed by waves and I'm just under the water looking for seashells. And his only purpose is to get hit by the waves so I don't get pulled away while I'm looking for seashells. And that man fucking stood there and did that year after year. And it's those little wins like that where you're like, holy shit, like now I understand like what being a dad is and how I can influence like my children's life. You can influence other people's fucking children's lives.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen.
You could influence your own life. Let's skip a
you
step
can influence your own fucking
This guy's
life.
going to other children.
But it's cool, man.
Like your children and then go back to you. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Like this.
I always forget there could be soon to be dads listening or dads that are like kind of in that family planning stage. And it sucks. It has its downs and lows, and there's going to be times where you and your wife are on your fucking deathbeds from arguing so much, but these little pings of joy you find in life through your kids' reactions to things will take you from a -20 up to like you're off the scale. You're so excited about something. But it is tough, man. It's a fucking grind, and you will learn more about yourself. And like I've learned more about myself in the first 5 years of my son's life and having Lily live with us than I've probably learned in the entire time of my life before they even came along.
It's exponential fucking growth. So like,
if you want it to be, some people,
I mean, sometimes it just happens to you and sometimes you want it to be or whatever, but I don't see a decipher. Like, and there's people who will resign to the pain of letting it ride or not being a part of a kid's life, which is another topic for a far different day. But I think there's exponential growth when you have a kid and you are in a position to just figure it the fuck out. Because some people are not in a position. There's like level. No, they can't figure it the fuck out. So like, there's people.
I found those people that can't figure it the fuck out also suffer because they don't have 100% any kind of support system.
Yeah, and they lost the power of the relationship with life, like the kid, and having to give that somehow away is exponential pain.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's something there, and that's what I think people like Dale or whoever. It's like if you don't spend all of your time with your kid, there's exponential pain, but we realize real pain that's not exponential because we'll just feel it and then it'll be over and we'll feel the joy of being with our kid, whereas exponential pain is not actually absorbing the energy of creating life and just giving it away. I feel like there's something there, but I
mean, I feel like I can semi-relate. Obviously, Emerson was planned. We knew we were in a good spot in life, and that was the time for us. But when I met my wife, the first time I met her at her apartment, and we went up on the roof, and we're just chatting. And the first, and I put this in my vows. The first thing she told me was that she had a daughter. And at first, I was like, "Wow, like thank you for fucking telling me that." Most women would have not said that at fucking all for fear of me running away. But I fucking dealt with it, man. I was not ready to be a stepdad at that point, but Jen and I had a thing going on, and you just gotta you gotta man up in those tough situations and just be like, you know what, this is the cards that are dealt. Here's where I want to be, and you gotta find a way through it. And that's like, I think that's part of what our goal on this show is, right? Is to share our experiences and help you guys through that. But B, to encourage you guys to create a ring of friends that you can fucking talk to. Like I think I only have 2 good buddies left that if I'm just having a fucking shit time or really struggling with, that I could call, and I know they'll either answer the fucking phone or they'll call me back that day if I, tell them I need something. And I think a lot of guys that become dads, you lose that. And so that I just highly recommend that you, I understand you're going to drift away from people that maybe you went to college with or high school or hometown friend, whatever you want to call it. But I would encourage you to try and rebuild that circle, or at least maintain a few good buddies and check in with them, dude. Like I message my friends every couple of weeks, and one of them's going through a nasty ass divorce. The other one's just living life. But at least every couple of weeks, I just check in like, hey, how are you guys doing?
Yep, that's solid. I mean, I got
that was an awkward pause. You were waiting for more.
I think the most important thing to understand, and I don't know where we're at on the recording of the show. I want the most important thing that everybody understands about this episode to be one like focal point. 100%. This is what I learned from listening to Time to Dad for the full episode.
My nose is running like a motherfucker. Sorry.
This is, if you work hard and you give it all you got, you could, at some point in the progression of life, it might take you 80 years, 99 years, it might take you 35 years like myself, you could be the ceramic, the highest percentage ceramic coating salesman of the month for McGovern Group.
Confetti, hand poppers going off behind you.
Dude, thank you all.
So I want
to thank you all for making
then I'll wrap us up.
The ceramic coating champion of the month, and we'll see you next time. We're dadding.
Yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. I think in our transition from potty training to internet to fucking life skills, I guess, is just life. Life is about fucking curveballs, man, and it's the famous Rocky saying, it's not about how hard you can get hit, right? It's about, I forget what
many times you can get hit.
Get hit.
How many times you get hit and keep fighting.
Take my man card.
That's what this podcast is.
Yeah, the more
fighting
and determination you can build into your life, it's gonna help with your relationship. It's gonna help you to shrug off those bullshit arguments that never should have been an argument. It's gonna help you with fucking potty training when your kid's pissing and shitting on the floor because you have them in undies instead of a diaper. Mm-hmm. It can just go really far, but it just find some sort of way to get your mental fortitude in a place where you can, if no one else is fucking doing it, at least you yourself can put yourself on a pedestal and give yourself that drive that you need to get over what hump you got going on. And as always, if you have any further questions, if you have any comments, any insight, additional ideas, we don't fucking know everything. This is just how our lives have unfolded. You can check out the Facebook group, like and subscribe, and we will hopefully catch you on the next episode with more people and less recording glitches.
Champ's gonna champ ceramic coating. All right.
Ceramic coating champ. See ya.
Boom.